Guten Tag, Freunde. I hope you are enjoying the learning through this series of videos, especially also the parallel learning, which is almost running silently on the side of the slides. And I also hope you're capturing the end lesson of each video. The idea is to help you to revise some random concepts and also assist ourselves in expanding our horizons and learning at a slightly philosophical and a macro level as well, especially the approach to the exam. Okay, so even if you wish to skip some part of the discussion, as I always say, do watch it till the end by skipping, or much better option of increasing the speed. So like all other videos of this series, let us take 10 more questions in this video and learn little more of the system of governance in India, which you all aspire to become a part of very soon, or at least should be aware just even as a citizen of India. Please keep a copy of the Constitution for reference as we move along. I also recommend you please pause the video as the question is displayed. Answer the question yourself first without listening to any discussion and only then proceed further. This is how I believe you will improve your ability to recall and ability to even answer questions when asked and without any hints. Okay, in this video I've got some important kind of key personalities from the information technology world. I hope you'll be able to recognize them. So before we take the first question, just so that you know, all these 500 questions in this series are available as a quiz as well as downloadable PDFs. So to access them, you may please join the Telegram channel. The link is in the description. All right. So the first question we have today is this: which of the following freedoms as provided by the Constitution of India cannot be restricted by the state? Now, see, this is a question which does not need any discussion because, no freedom is absolute. Okay. I repeat, no freedom is absolute. Some rights may be absolute, but freedom is never absolute because it affects, other fellow citizens. So, actually, blindly, I'll say that all of them can be restricted if they are a freedom. So, because it's asking cannot be restricted, so actually none of these is the answer. And if you see Article 19, for each one of them there is a restriction provided. In fact, we have got one more question in this video by the end, which will talk about specific restrictions on one of these freedoms as well. So please read Article 19. That's what I would recommend if you got this wrong. Most people think of Article 19 as only freedom of speech and expression. No, there are a lot of freedoms provided there. So just read it, it will help you. And I hope you recognize this gentleman here, founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, along with one more person by the name Paul Allen. Someone people generally do not recognize by face so much. You might like to do that. So let's go to the next question, and that is: which of the following statements is or are correct regarding river water in India and in general water? So I'm sure by now you would have realized that water is in fact a stately subject. And whereas the second provision, development of river valleys can be controlled by the union, absolutely, but for that Parliament has to declare that it is in public interest. This is actually one of the items in the union list also. So that's how union is able to make a law on river water valley development or even river water disputes, though that comes from Article 262 rather. But anyway, so center has this kind of a power. So actually both of these are definitely correct here. Nothing extraordinary in this question. And I do sincerely hope you did recognize this gentleman here. If you did not, well, I hope now you do. I don't have to even tell you who he is. If you don't know, then, well, Google. So the next question that we have, there's a hint there for you. I forgot I put the hint. So next question we have is: the population census of India will be completed in 2021. We all know that it's the census year. This census will report the population of India as on which date? Now I realize a lot of people did not get this right, even though this is something happening, within the year of your exam. So you should be very sorted with the concept of census. People keep saying current affairs based questions. Boss, current affairs based question is never current affairs. It's all about basics. So a current affairs question on census is nothing but the basics of census, right? So prelims is always like that. Make sure you are getting these points properly, because that's what this exam is going to check in you in prelims. Anyway, so there is this concept of a reference date. So when we say that the census actually, it does a head count of the population, so it's as on a particular date, right? That's called the reference date of the census. So the reference date of census for 2021 is going to be 1st March 2021. In fact, largely, but mind it, I'm using the word largely, it has been like that. But there are variations also. Further, you should know that, in the state of, in the Union Territory now of Jammu and Kashmir and some parts of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, the reference date will be 1 October 2020, that is this year itself. That's largely because of the snow and things like that. I hope you also know that the census in India started in the year 1872. That was the first time, and then the decennial census started from 1881, and since then it has been held every 10 years. Before 1941, the reference dates were random, but they will be either in February or March, right? But if you see from 1951 onwards, and specifically if you see 1951 all the way till 1991, except 1971, okay? So in 1971, it was 1st of April. But from otherwise 51, 61, 81 and 91, it was the sunrise of 1st of March. So this is another interesting thing I'm going to tell you here. Sunrise of 1st of March. Now that is always variable, it could be 5 a.m., 5:26 a.m., 5:27 a.m., who knows. Anyway, but it was sunrise of 1st of March. But in 2001 onwards, now it has been made as the 00 hours of 1st of March. So it's essentially the midnight of 1st of March. That is the reference point for the population. So anyway, read more yourself as well. I'm not supposed to be teaching everything. And this great person here is Stephen Gary Wozniak, who was also a co-founder with Steve Jobs that you saw earlier. There was a third one too, Ronald Wayne. Find out. Not that important though, but you should be aware about, these are the major companies who have shaped the IT, and see the performance here of this question, 9%. That also I doubt they really knew, or it was just a fluke, because these many people can get questions otherwise also right. Boss, sort out your basics. Exam is coming soon. Okay, so the next question we have is, which of the following statements is implied if a country is said to have an unwritten constitution? Well, a very, very conceptual question. Unwritten constitution doesn't mean that the constitution is not in a written form. This is not the implication. Unwritten only means that it may be in a written form, but it is not embodied in a single document. Like how we have, we refer Bare Act. Obviously, the Constitution of India, it's a document. And it is differentiated from other statutes or other kind of, things which are referred to as law. So the third statement is correct, and it says governance is based purely on customs and precedents. No, there are laws, there are parliamentary laws, there are judicial decisions. Of course, there are a lot of precedents and customs also, but it is not purely based on this. And of course, because it is not in a single embodiment document, the statutes, judicial decisions, everything becomes part of the constitution. There is no differentiation between the supreme law and the ordinary law. Everything is constitution, right? So that's essentially the idea that you should be able to understand here with the idea of unwritten constitution, though not everybody got it right, So, well, anyway, moving on, now you know this. So, next question we have is, violation of which of the following are an electoral offence as per the Representation of Peoples Act 1951? Well, see, all of them are electoral offences. As always, this was a question to help you learn rather than to test you. See, there are two ideas in RPA. One is what is called a corrupt practice, right? And the other one is what is being discussed here, electoral offence, right? Corrupt practice and electoral offence. See, when you say something is an electoral offence, see, it's certain kind of offences are a corrupt practice also, right? For example, this third one here, this is a corrupt practice as well as electoral offence. When you declare it as an offence, and this is where the punishment is also prescribed, right? So punishment will be there when there is an offense, right? And this is where the courts can take up the matter. Else, as you know, courts don't have a role to play. And it is the Election Commission of India who looks into the issue and takes appropriate action, right? So make sure you understand this difference. Otherwise, all three are correct here. And this gentleman here, I hope you recognize with the hint now, the co-founder of Twitter and presently the CEO also. So there were other co-founders also, but he's the most popular one because being the CEO, Jack Dorsey. So let's go to the next question, and that is the Lokayukta was created for the first time in India in the state of. Okay, first time in India. I see most of the people actually tended to choose Rajasthan, which, okay, I mean, I will give you that you're applying your mind that most of these kind of reforms, Panchayati Raj, or, your guess would be somewhere, bringing governance closer to people would be Rajasthan, but it's actually not. In fact, you should know that the term Lok Ayukta and Lokpal was first coined by Dr. L.M. Singhvi. If you remember, he was the man also behind the making of the panchayats and urban local bodies, a constitutional body. So anyway, Dr. L.M. Singhvi was the first one who coined it, and I hope you also remember that this concept of Lokpal, Lokayukta comes from the Scandinavian concept of ombudsman, originating in 1809 in Sweden. We have talked about this in one of the earlier videos also in slightly more detail, right? So please go and revise that if you're not aware. So anyway, it came in India after the first Administrative Reforms Commission had recommended that it should be created in India. So Maharashtra was the first state which created it in 1971. Rajasthan, though, was not far. It was the second state which created it in 1973, and the third state was Bihar. They had it in 1974. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The first is always critical to know for our exam and otherwise also for our information. Maharashtra was that state. And this gentleman, no need to introduce. See, that's the thing I find, you cannot run away from technology. Even if you may not like Facebook yourself, but you can't not know Facebook, you can't not know Mark Zuckerberg, you can't not know what is social media, you can't not have thoughts very clear on what social media is doing to society, what's its positive, negative kind of contribution. You have to have an opinion. You can run away yourself, because I know a lot of people do this, they kind of deactivate their accounts, they don't like to interact on these things, that's fine. But you cannot be unaware, otherwise you'll be sidelined anyway in society very soon. Forget this exam is a small thing. Anyway, so I hope you learned something here. Next question we have is, how many union territories are there in India today? I really didn't want to put this question, but I did realize that some people may have been confused because a lot of changes have happened over the last, hardly less than 1 year. First major event was that Jammu and Kashmir became a union territory, and we created one more union territory out of it, the union territory of Ladakh. Then the Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, which were earlier two union territories, have now been merged into one. Right? So, if you see, originally we had 7, then J&K makes it 8, Ladakh makes it 9, but then -1, 8. And a lot of you did, get it right, but I thought, much more than the number that I have here, less than half, should have got it. And these two, I think they are the genius of the 21st century, because this is sheer intelligence with which, how they have designed. And today Google is like a synonym for anything that you want to search and look for, and even, we tag people that this person is like Google. So, it's something, and it's not that old a company. It's much younger than all of us and all of you who are listening to this. So, definitely something, which should make you inspired that how technology can reform the whole world and change how we work. All right. So, the next question we have is, which of the following legislative assemblies in India has the least number of seats in the House? Well, this is where, if it simply says least number of seats, of course, it is Sikkim, because Sikkim has 32 seats total. However, imagine if it says which has the least number of elected seats. right? Then it is Puducherry, because Puducherry has 30 elected seats and 3 are available for nomination. So total becomes 33, but as such the elected seats are the least in the state of Puducherry. Anyway, the correct answer here should be Sikkim, because the question is simply asking least number of seats. So that's obviously the 2 seats. You may not know these 2 gentlemen, but a lot of us have used their product. I hope you recognize this symbol, Wikipedia. So no more. Let's go to the next question, and that is this: which of the following statements are correct regarding the Water Disputes Tribunal in India? Well, the number of tribunals are nominated by the Chief Justice of India. This is correct. Well, let me tell you, all 3 are correct. You can read that on your own. The purpose is to highlight this topic to you, that you should know in detail the basic provisions of Water Disputes Tribunal. So, yes, the nomination is done by Chief Justice. President appoints the tribunal, as you know. The decision is having the same force as the order of Supreme Court, and that is why the provision is that the appeal does not lie in Supreme Court. Of course, Supreme Court takes it up under the special leave powers it has, and as soon as the request is received by the central government, the first attempt is to settle it by negotiation. But if in 1 year it is not available, then we have to go for the constitution of the Water Dispute Tribunal. These are some minor intricacies of how things work there. So please read and revise your topic of water disputes in India, river water disputes, and I hope you recognized Jack Ma here. So the last question for this video: the freedom to practice any profession or to carry any occupation, trade, blah blah blah, under Article 19 of the Constitution of India. So this was the first question we had regarding freedom to practice any profession, and I told you there will be one question where we'll go in the details of the kind of restrictions that are possible. Again, this was not really a test. Partially it was definitely a test, but more so to make you realize that unless you read Article 19, many of these straightforward questions which are just picked up from the Constitution of India, you may get it wrong, right? So all 3 are correct. In public interest, by making requirements for professional and technical qualifications, as well as to create a monopoly of the state. All these are very clearly mentioned in Article 19, specifically clause 6 of that. So see how it works. I've seen a lot of aspirants getting confused in various aspects of Article 19. Article 19 is perhaps the most widely interpreted article of the Constitution, second only to Article 21. As such, it will be very useful if you read through the entire Article 19. I told this earlier, I cannot emphasize anymore. It's good to revise. Please read it. I'm convinced it will help you in this exam and also in future in your life as a citizen. So Article 19 clause 1 lists all your freedoms as subclause A, B, C, like that. And then Article 19 clause 2 onwards, all the way till 19 clause 6, it talks about the various restrictions on these freedoms that are there. So each of these clauses is a restriction on one of the freedoms that are provided there. It's a lengthy article, but please read it. Please read it. Okay, I cannot emphasize anymore. Alright, so that's the 10 questions of this video, and as always, to leave you with something to ponder more, today we'll learn a new word, and a very important word, very close to your heart. This is where you want to be, at least for now you want to be. Bureaucracy. It means the rule by the desks or offices. That's literally the meaning of the word bureaucracy. And there are 4 features of modern bureaucracy: hierarchy, continuity, impersonality, and expertise. Spend some time, ponder, pause, think about it. I'll see you soon with 10 more questions. Till then, study well. Thank you very much.